I'm going to call this meeting to order. And so we'll move to Section 2, approval of the agenda. 2.1, changes to agenda and approval of agenda. And we do have one change, added item number 9.11, employee suspension. And with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We have no recognitions tonight. We do have one visitor, and before we have Mr. Ellinger come up, Mr. McInnes, would you please answer a question for me regarding school board member comments during public comments or when we do have visitors here?
Based upon the subject matter that a presenter may want to discuss with the board, that's what has a lot to do with whether the board's in a position to respond or not respond to particular questions. For instance, if the matter is regarding some business matter of the district that's not on the agenda, the board may not have sufficient information to give any kind of an educated response to that question. Therefore, it may be that there needs to be follow-up from the superintendent or district staff with that person so that the board can develop an appropriate response. Student matters are another area where the board has to be very careful in any kind of comment or discussion, because both under state and federal law, student records and personally identifiable information about students is confidential. And therefore, many times if questions are raised to you in a public meeting about a student matter in particular, it's not appropriate for the board to get into those details in a public setting, and you have to honor both the state and federal law regarding that kind of information. Once again, those things can be discussed outside of a public meeting through the superintendent staff, the school staff, with the parents, but in a public setting, you have to be very careful about that. Finally, if the item discussed deals with personnel type matters, those matters fall under the authority and jurisdiction of the superintendent. And so to discuss personnel matters by the board in a public meeting would be outside of the scope of your jurisdiction, because the superintendent handles those matters. Now, the superintendent certainly brings recommendations to the board regarding personnel matters, but those recommendations don't initiate themselves from the board table. They're brought forward under Florida law of the authority of the superintendent. The other reason why in personnel matters you have to be careful, there could be a pending investigation of a complaint in a personnel matter. Those, again, under state law are confidential and are not to be discussed publicly until those investigative procedures have been concluded. And then finally, in many cases of employee discipline, those matters can end up back in front of this board as a hearing body. And in that event, the board wants to be careful that you have not taken a public position on an employee matter if you have to turn around and hear that case as a neutral hearing body. So for those reasons, once again, it's important for the board to be cautious in personnel matters when they are discussed in a public setting.
Might I make a comment, Mr.
Yes, sir,
Chairman?
Dr. White.
And Mr. McInnes, I really appreciate that insight that, of course, you have provided, at least in my case, to me individually before when I've asked you. And I think it's important for the public to know that, at least in my case, and I suspect it's also true with my colleagues, that just because we make no public comment here does not necessarily mean that we're not involved and that we have followed up on particular matters with the superintendent, staff, and as may be appropriate. So I just wanted to make that known that even though sometimes we're not able to comment, an examination of perhaps even public records might reveal that we have been involved. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. White. All right. So before Mr. Ellinger comes up, Mr. McInnes, would you go over the rules for public comment?
Yes, sir. Members of the public addressing the board will be given 4 minutes to make your presentation. Remarks should be directed to the board chairman, and issues pertaining, once again, to personnel matters are under the authority and responsibility of the superintendent, so those are not routinely heard here by the school board in these public sessions. And we would ask that all visitors and public speakers at this meeting act in a respectful manner in making your presentation.
Mr. Ellinger, if you would, please make your way to the podium. And please state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Chad Ellinger, and I live at 708 Nutmeg Avenue. I stand before the board once again to provide another opportunity to do the right thing and amend the mistakes of your administration. I've grown tired of your incompetency and refusal to follow federal, state, and local policies. I'm done with ignored requests for my students' information under FERPA. I'm again telling you I'm done asking for due process hearings. I'm done with all of it. I've given you ample opportunity to look at the facts and do something, anything, to correct the situation at the lowest possible level. You've ignored all of my requests and failed to take any action of any kind. Your actions and lack thereof have been appalling. The administration has actively discriminated against my son from day one because of his gender and a predetermination of guilt. There was never a time that my son was considered as a victim, and as such, you have never properly investigated his side of this case. The school's incompetent investigation has completely ruined my son's opportunity to receive justice at this point. You have documented witness statements in which the witnesses reported secondhand information from other students and not from my son. You've condemned my son based on rumors and hearsay of adolescents in the school's halls and lunchroom instead of actual evidence. Furthermore, the administration has gone so far as to blame my son for the events that took place. Principal Whidden has written, "It's my son's fault that someone else distributed his photo, and any distress he feels related to the situation is directly caused by his own actions. It's documented on police reports that my son has had his picture distributed by another student, and yet you refuse to treat him with compassion and understanding as the victim of a crime. Instead, you choose to support the perpetrator of the crime, even after discovering that she lied about the events in question. The school has continued to harass and intimidate my family. You maliciously filed a truancy petition against me, even though my son was forced to be homeschooled during the time period in question. I notified you within 30 days, as required by law, that I was homeschooling my son, and you returned a letter to me confirming that fact. My son could not possibly have been absent from a school that will not allow him to attend. Superintendent Chambers has completely ignored a FERPA appeal request to amend incorrect and misleading information in my son's student records until I reminded him of his lack of action nearly a month after he was required to respond. The school still refuses to correct blatantly false information in official records. The threat assessment document still states that my son has possession of or direct access to a firearm. This is categorically false and a direct insult to my Second Amendment rights. The school based this answer solely on the fact that there are firearms in my home, regardless of my son's access to them, and there was no attempt to investigate the status of the firearms in my home. Shockingly, my statement affirming the fact that my son does not have access to firearms is included in the threat assessment, further supporting the fact that the school is prejudiced against gun ownership. Most importantly, you've expelled my son and taken away his right to attend public education without a due process hearing or the opportunity for appeals. Other school districts in Florida have specific policies when referring a student to alternative placement, specifically for the reason that there's already a court decision regarding the removal of a student's right to attend public school. A single incident like this might be overlooked as a mistake or simple oversight. However, given the totality of these incidents, this is direct evidence of deliberate and intentional harassment and intimidation by the school.
15 seconds, Mr. Chairman.
Bottom line is this: I need to see action by you. I'm holding you personally accountable for the apathy, incompetence, and lack of accountability that the district has shown. I will not be ignored. I will not be swept under the rug. This situation is not going away.
Thank you, Mr. Ellinger.
I just have one question. Mr. Chambers, I just want for the record, you did answer the questions that we saw before that Mr. Ellinger sent, correct?
That is correct.
So you have responded to this parent?
So we have responded on multiple occasions. I have spoken with Mr. Ellinger, the assistant principal, the principal, our safety specialist, my deputy superintendent, myself as well. I have explained the due process that goes into what happens at the school in terms of alternative placement and the difference between alternative placement and expulsion. There's no expulsion in this situation here. I will say, Mr. Ellinger is absolutely correct. It did take about a month for me to respond to the FERPA request, and as I shared with him the other day when I called, I apologize for that. but absolutely did get the answer to him, I believe it was this past week.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so now we'll move down to Section 5, Administrative Personnel Appointments. And the first, 5.1 will be the request to double fill the principal of Shoal River Middle School as presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources, and recommended by the superintendent for approval. So with that, I need a motion to accept the double fill request.
I'll move it.
Ms. Evancheck makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Garner. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. 5.2, request to double fill the principal Richburg School, presented by Dr. Lee Hale, Assistant Superintendent, Human Resources, and recommended by the superintendent for approval. So with that, I need a motion to accept the request for double fill for Richburg School.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Dr. Kelly makes the motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, any discussion? And I do have a question regarding the double fill. Explain why we're doing the double fill, if that would be possible tonight. I know so there's going to be some people wondering what a double fill is, so we can explain why we're doing the double fill.
Absolutely. So anytime, especially during the school year, when we want to make sure that there's continuity and leadership at the school, we do not want either of these two schools to be without a principal. So in that fact, I've requested a double fill to make sure that Richburg going forward has the continuity that they need, and Shoal River also has the continuity that they need going forward.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
might
sir.
I offer, and board members, I know you all know this, this is something that we've done before.
Yes, sir.
This is not atypical, such a request.
All right. No other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. 5.3, appointment of principal, Shoal River Middle School. Mr. Chambers, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. School Board. I bring before you Dr. Jason Driver. Dr. Jason Driver is a proud product of Okaloosa County Schools, having graduated from Choctawhatchee High School and Okaloosa Walton Community College. He holds a bachelor's degree in religion from Florida State, a master's degree in counseling and psychology from Troy University, a specialist degree in educational leadership, and a Doctor of Education in Curriculum Instruction / Diversity Studies, both from the University of West Florida. Dr. Driver started working in Okaloosa County in 1998 at Crestview High School, where he eventually served as the Assistant Principal of Instruction in 2002. He left Crestview to serve as the Assistant Principal for Lewis School in 2011 before being named the Principal in 2020. During his career, he has presented and has been invited to present at regional, national, and international conferences on college readiness, school leadership, school program, and mentor development. He has also served as an adjunct instructor for the teacher education program at Northwest Florida State College. In his spare time, he enjoys reading, writing, traveling, following the Philadelphia Eagles, which should have removed him from this list, and spending time with his 16-year-old son, Brendan Joel. Dr. Driver is a strong advocate for his teachers and students and is excited for the opportunity to serve the Shoal River Middle School family. Dr. Jason Driver.
All right, with that, I need a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Jason Driver, principal of Shoal River Middle School. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'd like to make that because I know you'll appreciate that.
You taught him.
Actually, I didn't teach him, his brother, but I know him. So he's a former Choctaw person, and so I would like to make that motion.
Okay, so Ms. Evancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll make the second.
Second, Doc-
Even though I hate to see him leave my zone.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
changing
could-
zones.
I could go on and on, but I would like to say, Mr. Chambers, if you don't mind, that he leaves Lewis Middle School with his thumbprints all over it, and that school is much better off for Dr. Driver having served there. And all you have to do is walk the campus and walk inside the building, talk to the people, and you'll get that affirmation. So thank you for your job here.
I totally agree with you, Dr. Kelly. Okay, with that, I need we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Dr. Driver.
So I had this long speech, then y'all embarrassed me. I have the greatest job ever. It's the greatest job ever. I work for amazing people, and I mean that seriously. Every day I can call somebody and get assistance. I work for heroes in these schools. These teachers and these staffs are amazing. So the fact that you trust me to not only lead Lewis and give me the opportunity to work there, but also you trust me to move forward and lead again at Shoal River is humbling. I can't say anything other than that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the support of the school board, every one of you. You'll be hearing from me again. I always, the superintendent, I can't thank you enough for your support during my career, and everyone at this table here. I wouldn't be up here without any of you. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this time. I'm looking forward to getting to work at Shoal River. I'm leaving an incredible family, but I'm not losing them. I'm just gaining another one at Shoal. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay, Jason, just for me, let's do Go Big Green.
Oh, go Big Green.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, everyone from Shoal. Shoal, come on. Yes. All right, come on. There you go.
Just the Lewis. Hold on. Okay.
Okay, now we'll move to item 5.4, and this will be for the appointment of principal, Richburg School, as recommended by the superintendent for approval. Mr. Chambers.
Thank you, Mr. Bryan. School Board, I bring before you Dr. Nathaniel Chapman. Dr. Nathaniel Chapman is happily married to Rosalind Chapman, who works in education in Walton County, and he is the proud father of Layla Moore, a 9th grade student at Crestview High School. He is a product of the Okaloosa County School District and an educator with over 17 years of experience. Dr. Chapman has a bachelor's degree in education from Florida State University, a master's in educational leadership and administration from the University of West Florida, with an emphasis in ESE, and a doctorate in educational leadership from Trident University International with an emphasis in EBD. Dr. Chapman is certified in both Florida and Georgia. His certifications include school principal, educational leadership, social science 6 through 12, behavioral science 6 through 12, and the Reading endorsement. Dr. Chapman has served as a substitute teacher, adjunct instructor, all in Leon, Madison, and Okaloosa counties. He has taught 1st grade, 8th grade critical thinking, 6th through 8th grade social studies, 6th through 8th grade AP social studies, 6th through 8th grade intensive reading, 6th through 8th grade intensive math, and many more. He has served as an assistant principal for the past 7 years. He has spent 2 years at Shoal River Middle School and the past 5 years at Bob Sykes Elementary. Dr. Chapman is humble and he's excited to embark upon this new educational journey as principal of Richburg School. He is dedicated to student success and looks forward to making new connections with students and working collaboratively with fellow administrators, faculty, staff, and the community of Richburg School. Dr. Nathaniel Chapman.
And with that, I need a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Nathaniel Chapman, principal, Richburg School, as recommended by the superintendent for approval. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Ms. Carter makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. Kelly. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And the motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, Dr. Chapman.
Thank you. I would like to thank Superintendent Chambers for his recommendation and the board members for their vote of confidence in me to lead the Richburg Lions. I'm humble and excited. Thank you to my parents, Ernest Chapman and Maria Chapman Bogan, as well as my stepfather, Raymond Bogan, for their unconditional love and support personally and academically. To my cousins, aunts, uncles, mother-in-law, and father-in-law, thank you for supporting my goals and my dreams and being the best cheerleaders a guy could ever have. I would also like to thank all the previous administrators whom I've worked with and learned from over the years in Leon, Madison, and Okaloosa counties. A special thanks to Dr. Deborah Collins Goolsby, who encouraged me to embark upon ed leadership, Miss Cherie Davis, my first principalship position, as well as Dr. Sills, a fellow administrator, Dr. Diane Kelly, my level 2 principalship training program, and Miss Victoria Hayden. Miss Hayden, thank you for mentoring me and supporting me and guiding me and allowing me to hone and craft my skills as a school administrator. To the Bob Sykes family and staff, thank you for welcoming me to your team and allowing me to serve as your assistant principal for almost 6 years. As always, I save the best for last, so thank you to my wife Rosalind and my daughter Layla. Thank you for supporting my career goals and investing your time in supporting the schools where I've worked as an assistant principal. Again, I am excited to join the Richburg Lions, and thank you to the administrators, faculty, and staff in advance for all the success we have to come. Thank you.
Typically, I would adjourn the meeting or recess the meeting for a couple of minutes, but in the spirit of keeping the meeting going, if you have to leave, you can go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and start down the rest of the agenda. So we are at 6, public comment. We had received no blue cards tonight, but this would be members of the public desiring to address the school board, Form MIS 5241, public input and/or discussion of agenda items. Item 7, committee and staff reports. This was workshop only on Thursday. So now we're to Section 8, consent agenda. 8.1 will be the approval of the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes the motion. Dr. White, I'll give you the second. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now we'll move to Section 9, and this will be the superintendent's human resource recommendations. The item 9.1 is informational only, so we'll go to item 9.2. This is cleared certification requirements and issuance of contracts for the 2021 through 2022 school year. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Ms. Savancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Garner. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.3, out-of-field report for the 2021 through 2022 school year. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.4, employment separations. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. 9.5, employee transfers. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Ms. Vancheck makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 9.6, personnel recommendations. Need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 9.7, employee suspension. I need a motion to approve, please.
Move it.
Dr. White makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vancheck. Any
Chair.
discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 9.8, employee suspension. I need a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 9.9, reinstatement, reimbursement of sick leave due to line of duty, illness, injury, medical examination. Need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Dr. White. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. 9.10, leave without pay. Need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Dr. Kelly makes a motion. Do I have a second, please?
Second.
Second, Ms. Gardner. Any discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. And 9.11, employee suspension. I need a motion to approve, please.
I'll move it.
Ms. Gardner makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Ms. Vancheck. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Section 10 is discussion agenda. We had no items that were moved from consent agenda, so now we'll move down to Section 11, and this is construction program owners, representatives, business. And as always, Dr. Kelly, we look forward to your report.
Thank you so much. We did have a meeting this morning, and we discussed the task orders that remain on our list, colleagues, and for those in the public, when an item is completed and out of warranty, we no longer talk about those, so you will hear me skip numbers. Those task order numbers have already been completed, and they have therefore fallen off the list. So we'll begin with task order number 2, which was the district-wide school security upgrade project, and we are down to phase 2 of that project. We are still working on the fencing at Antioch Elementary. The aluminum material is the holdup there, just because of the material delay. Mary Esther's fencing is complete. It came in because it was chain link of a different material, and those two would close out phase 2 for us. That brings us down to phase 3, the final phrase for task order 2. That includes Floreso, Blue Water, Walker, and Bruner, who are complete. Blue Water, was about a week ahead because those materials came in on time. All roofs are now dried in. The roofers came in over the break, so we were on target on those. The bricks are here for those projects, but the windows are not. So that's the holdup in some cases. The prior work, the demo was done over the break, so that project is moving along. Kenwood is on target. The HVAC systems are in, so we are currently coordinating for the removal of those old ones so that we can install the new ones. With that being said, all of task order 2 is still in line to be completed by the end of this coming summer. That brings us to task order 4. 1 and 3 are closed out off the list, recall. So task order 4 was the Baker School kitchen renovation and the Pryor Middle School kitchen renovation. The Baker School is completed now with the work being completed over the break, which was just relocation of some kitchen equipment. Pryor Middle School's kitchen, the remainder is set to be on task, on target. We are sending the plans in, or Mr. Anderson is sending the plans in to the state for approval with the start date to be over spring break. That brings us to task order number 5, which was the stadium time and material at Choctaw High School. That is cleared and is in the warranty period with no problems. Task order number 9, that was the repairs to the stadium at Crestview. The painting wrapped up over the holidays. We are waiting on 48 brackets, which are in fabrication now, and then the final threshold inspection is planned to be completed long before graduation, so that is not a concern. Task order number 10, That is completed, and in the warranty period, that was time and materials for the Bay Area's emergency office remediation. All is good there. Task Order 11, district-wide sales tax roofing projects. Today was the inspection on the last roof. Mr. Bryant, you'll be glad to hear that was the Crestview High School auditorium roof, the last one, and the verification of the band room is totally completed without any leaks, and I understand that Mr. Dunn seems to be happy. So that's what we're working for there. Task Order 12, district-wide sales tax construction projects. All the surveys are complete and received except Shalimar's, and that is only because one building was moved, which delayed theirs a little bit. The Edmonds Cafetorium will likely be the first on that list. The company is meeting with the general contractors this week, and they are looking forward to distributing the work across the district with an appropriate time frame and geography. So I thought that was good to hear. Task Order number 13 is the master plan for consolidation of district services here at the Central Complex Administration. They're starting to schedule meetings with the district inhabitants of this building, and the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, as you might imagine, would be the cost drivers there. Consultants have been difficult to find in this time period. Task Order 14 for Walton Beach High School's Boys Field House Roof Project. The roofers, unfortunately, got COVID, so that has delayed the start until Wednesday. But, however, the good news is the materials are there, so we're just waiting on the roofers to arrive. Shooting for spring break for the train units on that project as well. Task Order 15, the gym floor replacement at Davidson, Crestview, and Lewis. Hopefully, we will receive that GMP in February. Task Order number 16, roofing and canopy projects at Choctaw and at Lewis. Those plans are being finalized currently, and we should receive a GMP in the next 60 days for those projects as well. And the last one on the list for tonight, Task Order 17, roof replacements at Blue Water and at Walker. The drawings are being finalized as well, but we plan to hold off on proceeding with that one until the market pricing stabilizes. And that is all I have tonight.
I have a question, Dr. Kelly. So I see the word roof on here a lot, and we've been hearing about roofs a lot. So while a lot of these are roof replacement or big projects, what about roofing and just situations where there's minor, little leak here, little that? Where does that fit in the big picture of getting that done?
So my presumption, Dr. Smith and Mr. Horton, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is that is still our facilities in-house projects if they're small as they were previously.
Yes, ma'am, Dr. Kelly, and those still fall under, we have a contract with Tremco who does roof repairs and not the
Or
replacements. And so
in-house, okay.
we brought to the board earlier this fall a list
Yeah.
of schools where we identified leaks. And so that's a continuing job. And sometimes when a leak occurs in a room, it may be because of an area, 50 feet down the hallway. So each time those are made known to us, we work to get them repaired through our roofing contractor, not a replacement, but a repair.
So for the public's knowledge, it's a big organization because we have just continuing repairs that we would be doing even if we didn't have the sales tax.
Yes, ma'am.
Just ongoing. And then, of course, we have big projects with the sales tax. So I want the public to understand how much is happening simultaneously or, along that we're having to juggle. And I guess sometimes it's challenging with supplies and workers limited. But of course, we're doing everything we can to affect the immediate and then moving along with the sales tax piece.
Yes, ma'am. And Dr. Smith knows off the top of his head the square footage of roofing that we have in our district that I think is in the millions of square feet. So it is a process by which we're replacing roofs that are the most in need, and those that are passable, we are repairing them while we're lining up to work those as well.
Well, let's just have him come up here and do that square footage. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He
I'm
can
just
tell
kidding.
Probably could tell you.
I know he knows.
You can
Thank you,
spot
sir.
out
Yes,
the
ma'am.
acres of roofing I've heard him talk about. But to me, Ms. Ivanchik, that just points out the fact of how needy we were, not just with roofing, but with HVACs and
Yeah.
all the other systems on our really decrepit buildings here, and how grateful it provides us another opportunity to express our appreciation to the citizens for passing our half-cent
Absolutely.
sales tax. So again, thank you to our citizens and the community who brought this forward and allowed us to be successful.
You know, like you said, the more we do, the more we realize what we needed to do, so it's great. Thank you
Exactly.
for those responses.
And might I add that, and we all know this, but the great thing about all of that, sales tax and roofing and HVACs and all the things that are occurring is that helps our kids. That
That's the
helps
whole
our
point.
students and our employees, of course. But
Yep.
that's
whole
been
point.
the great thing about what the public has done for us.
It
be able
allows us
help
to
our
put the
kids.
focus on academics, where before we were locating buckets around student desks every time it rained and that kind of thing. So you're absolutely right, Dr. White. It puts the focus where it should be.
Well, as always, thank you for that
Oh, you're
awesome
very welcome.
report. All right, so we'll move to section 12, and we have nothing under information technology seat management contract. And section 13, I'll turn it over to Mr. McInnes.
No report.
Okay, thank you, sir. Section 14, superintendent's business. Mr. Chambers, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. And as you know, on Thursday, gave a briefing on a number of different topics, so I'm not going to rehash that. But what I do want to reiterate is this past weekend, it was National Law Enforcement Day, and we are blessed in Okaloosa County to have what I would argue the #1 resource officer program, not only in the state of Florida, but the nation. And we are blessed to have a true partnership, a partnership with the sheriff, a partnership with each and every school resource officer that works diligently to not only keep our schools safe, but also to forge relationships, to mentor, and do the things that they do each and every day in our schools. And I know I'm extremely grateful for that. I'm sure you are as well. But I just wanted to mention that and just, again, thank our school resource officers for all that they do.
And if I could jump on that, I'd like to thank the officers who always come to our meetings and stay here and help us. And they often wait till we all finish chatting or whatever we need to do, and I'm sure they're ready for dinner, but they wait till we're all in the cars and it's safe and all's good. And so we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
And Mr. Chambers, I'll just want to say thank you for the what you put on your statement yesterday regarding law enforcement. I can't speak for all of us, but I'm sure, you know, we would concur with the saying what you put out there yesterday. And I too would like to thank our school resource officers, and especially the ones that come to our meetings. So I know they would like to get home, but we do appreciate them being here. So, all right, so now we'll move down to board members' announcements, and Ms. Gardner, I'll start with you tonight.
Well, just quickly, I know, Mr. Chambers, you will be going around on Friday announcing our top 3 ed support individuals. And sitting on that committee and listening, I mean, it really was a difficult task to pick out top 3. But one thing that we heard over again and said in many different ways, we know that we're short employees pretty much every single day. And what we were hearing is that it's no matter what it takes. These individuals are doing their job and they're doing others' job because, again, just being short with COVID and needing substitutes and so forth. So it's going to be exciting to go, and it's still a surprise for our top 3 individuals. And I will be with you, so that means that it will be one of the schools in my district. Yeah. So that's forthcoming. What? Hint, hint. Ooh. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. But that's it. Thank you.
Well, I can one-up you because we already announced the finalists for Teacher of the Year. So tomorrow and the next day, I have the privilege of going in the classrooms of these teachers, Miss Brittany Tate out of Pryor, Miss Amy Saxer out of Bruner, and Miss Elizabeth Drake up in Walker. So I'm excited to see them in action. Of course, from their what they've stated on their application is these are fabulous teachers, so I'm excited about that. Then next Monday is a holiday, school holiday. That's exciting. And then a couple days after that will be the 100th day of school, right, Dr.
That's
Kelly?
exactly right.
I hope I'm not stealing your thunder on the calendar,
have it
but
this time.
that's a big deal with schools, that 100th day cross and everything. So there we go. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Ms. Vancheck. Dr. Kelly.
Okay, I have just a few things. So January the 24th through the 28th has been designated as the 14th annual statewide Celebrate Literacy Week. So I know that we'll all be invited to read or be involved in some other activities, and I always look forward to those every year. Then the Florida Missing Children's Day statewide essay contest, the deadline to enter is approaching soon. The ceremony will be September the 12th, and the theme is How I Stay Safe All Day, a $100 cash award and prize package. You can get more information at floridafldoe.state.fl.us. And as I announced on Thursday, I'll announce again that the All Sports Association awarded Niceville High School students Paige Doloff and Noah Harmon with Scholastic Awards, and Eric Trapp and assistant coach Adron Robinson, as well as Louis Richard from Crestview, with Excellence Awards. And just one last note that we might want to look into. I know our curriculum people will prize us better later, but for our audience, there was a bill put forward, House Bill 1193, and its companion bill filed by Senator Diaz, Senate Bill 1048, which we've been looking forward to since our governor has been so adamant about replacing the statewide assessments with progress monitoring. So I read those avidly today and was excited about that. So I know more is to come, but and we'll look forward to you and your staff briefing us more on those, but that's all I had.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kelly. And Dr. White?
Thank you, Chairman. Nothing except appreciate those condolences she expressed.
And my only comment tonight is go dogs.
I was wondering when that would be worked
I
in.
was wondering how that
I knew that was
coming.
coming. I do want to mention the legislature does go in session tomorrow for the next 2 months, so a lot of things that affect education out there, and so I'm hoping the public is keeping tabs on what's going on there.
All right, so now we'll move down to section 16, and this was the 2-minute version of public comment, and I did not receive any blue cards for that. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.
Good night, y'all.